Hello, this is Kev. This is a channel Black Man Being Brutally Honest, and as always, I ask you to please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell if you haven't already, and let's get down to it. Yeah, this is one of these stories you run across on the internet, just on my Facebook browser, and it's just like I wonder why I didn't hear about this earlier. See, what we do in the media, well, what they do in the media is suppress certain stories so there won't be some, I guess, they're fearing unrest. And see, here's the thing: we're already unrested. It just happens like that. And when I came across this story right here, it was quite disturbing. For two reasons. Number one, what actually happened, and number two, why wasn't this story more widespread? So um, I guess that you can say that it is the job of black YouTubers to report on such things, whereas the mainstream media won't give it any traction or press. And this is why I like YouTube. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Like I said, this was quite disturbing. And if you wanted to make the argument of white privilege, which there are many examples of that. And it's all around you. It's not, you don't even have to look that far. If you wanted to make that argument, you could use this story right here that I'm about to show you. Yeah, the story is about the story is about a pale, violent guy named Corey Burfield. All right, read that headline right there. Student accused of beating teacher into a coma, released without bail after mother promises to keep an eye on him. Now, I'm going to provide links in the description, and as I kind of dived a little bit into this story, many details came to the light about this. Number one, I think the institute that the teacher worked at was the Institute for special needs. Special needs, people with mental problems. Uh, um, let's see. It says right here at the top, and this is literally how it is. A Minnesota teen accused in a brutal beating that left a teacher's aide fighting for his life in the ICU was allowed to walk out of jail Wednesday without posting bail. Now, Wednesday, not this Wednesday, not the Wednesday before, but this happened sometime last year. And like I stated earlier, it was like, why wasn't this story more widespread? So it says Corey David Burfield, 18, appeared in court for the first time this week after being charged with one count of first degree assault and one count of third degree assault. Um, the Minnesota Star Tribune reported the accused teen was ultimately allowed to return home thanks to his mother, who convinced a judge he wouldn't be a flight risk because she'd be watching him. Now, offhand, the first thing you're thinking is this. And as a black person, you're thinking, hey, a white kid brutally beat a black man into a coma. Burfield reached for the man's belt and he pushed him back. So, in essence, Mr. Dukley, Muhammad Dukley, was defending himself. And it said, Miss Corey Burfield hit him, knocking him to the ground, jumped on top of him, hit him in the head several times and his neck. Now, well, I say this was a slap on the wrist because it literally sounds like a slap on the wrist. Like they asked him in the courtroom, okay, we're going to need you. We're going to need the truth from you. Corey Burfield reportedly told the court that Muhammad Dukley took a swing at him. and he was only defending himself. So basically, it was like, good enough for me. He was defending himself, and and his attack somehow was triggered by that. The mother also said yeah, like I said, he wouldn't be a flight risk because she'd be watching him. Um, and then I'll talk about the elephant in the room for a second. Now let me read this paragraph right here. Uh, Let me see if I can highlight it real quick. Yeah, yeah. All right. It said Dukuli, who served as a paraprofessional at Harrison Education Center for 10 years, is described as a great teacher who was well liked by students at the alternative high school. Well, when you say, yeah, alternative high school, that does mean troubled kids. And that's why Corey Burfield attended there. According to the details of the attack, I don't think I read this previous. I'm sorry. They said he was described as a great teacher who was well liked by students at the alternative high school. Yeah, I had to read that again. Is that according to the details of the attack, Burfield knocked the teacher to the floor before punching him several times in the face. The brutal assault left Dukley unresponsive so much that he was placed on a ventilator in the ICU. Like, wow. And this is a statement. The next statement I'm going to highlight. This is a statement by the family. Quite frankly, we are disappointed. Imam Muhammad Dukley, the victim's uncle, told reporters of the decision to let Burfield walk. For a serious case like this, I think he should have been on bail. Yeah, absolutely. He walked out without bail. Basically, like I said, a slap on the wrist. And as long as his mother promised to keep an eye on him, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. Like, it just gets funnier and funnier as we just go by. Read this statement right here. Though Burfield doesn't have any past criminal history, because, God forbid you accuse a pale kid of anything and punish him for it. His violent behavior has been well documented for years and includes previous attacks on teachers, classmates, and even his own family. The local station in Minnesota, KSTP, reported. So just basically what you're saying is, okay, we're not going to take into account that he's been violent before. So we're just going to say, well, he presents no threat. Let's let him walk back out into society. And the family of Mr. Dukley have every right to be concerned. I'm just saying, if you're researching the situation, you can find the videos, but I guess that's what I'm here for. Now. Listen to this little paragraph right here. I mean, if some of y'all ain't already started reading ahead anyway. Court documents show the team was involved in an unprovoked attack against 4 school staff members, with one of the staff sustaining a concussion back in December 2015. So we're talking about from 2015 to 2018. You got enough of a window right there from 2015 to 2018 to determine that maybe this is just some violent ass kid. Maybe we need to take a little bit more of a step than to, just give him a slap on the wrist. And here's this right here. Dukley's uncle says he fears the Burfield will strike again. I'm sure that THE right there in that particular place was a typo. But yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, from what was just read and the facts that I presented to you, which are facts and they're very researchable and tangible, his uncle has every right to fear that this kid will strike again and will attack. Now, as far as it being racially motivated, um, there was not like yeah, it just. I feel like there is an underlying undertone of race. There is an undertone of racism here because how do you release a violent person back into the public? There was this young lady named Neil Wilson last year. The sub like the train victim, the girl who was stabbed in her neck by the is this another one, violent pale guy who had a violent criminal history released to the public, and they acting like he's just not gonna do anything to anyone else, and someone died for that. So this kid was released into his mother's care. Why he wasn't released? If there was something, yes, they did play the mentally ill card on Burfield. So why wasn't he confined to an institution? You got this man fighting for his life. Well, he still under he was fighting for his life. Now he has to go under a pretty decent amount of physical therapy to get back on his feet still. All because we didn't want to admit that we have a problem right here. And I mean, I know what some of y'all are saying. Oh, is he implying that skin color had something to do with this? Let me tell y'all something. Think about this. A black kid, his age, in a classroom, violently beating a white teacher. Do you think they're going to give him the mentally ill card? Do you think they're going to release him back into his mother's care? No, they're going to put him in jail. They're going to put him in prison. This little hearing, they said, didn't even seem like it lasted half an hour. The second that the kid said he took a swing at me, they were like, well, okay, that's good enough for me. We'll release him under his mother's care. He's not a threat. We don't want to ruin his life over something over something small like this for like 2 bad minutes. His entire life for 2 bad minutes. But here's one thing I have to address my community on too. Look, we do have problems with mental illness in our community that need to be addressed. But see, the thing is, though, by the system that is designed for you to lose, it is never going to come off that way. You will always be a violent criminal no matter what's wrong with you. But see, in the case of this kid right here, this kid that doesn't look like you, they gave him the benefit of the doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that's what happened. They gave him the benefit of the doubt, and it's the same usual ass bullshit. So if someone does say that his skin color has something to do with that, I'm going to be extremely compelled to agree. Yes. If Muhammad Dukley was a white guy named John Peterson and Corey Burfield was named Rashawn Jackson and he was black instead, Rashawn Jackson will probably be in prison right now for like maybe a decade. He would be a dangerous violent criminal then, just like Corey Burfield right here. Dangerous violent criminal right here. Dangerous violent criminal. That's what he is. That's what he's on his way to becoming as an adult. He's going to attack and beat even more people. Because guess what? This system is telling him right now that it is okay to do that. It's a damn shame that the teacher, a teaching assistant, he wasn't even a teacher, he was an assistant, had to pay the price because the system doesn't want to admit that sometimes problems are pale. Sometimes our issues have a pale attachment to it. And for all of y'all that says that skin color had nothing to do with this, well, you know what? Like you could possibly bring up like 50 or 60 more examples historically starting out where this has happened. Especially like when it comes to sexual assault and rape, like how these pale skinned people keep getting away with all of this. But when you switch it around, and they're black. And I'm not saying black criminals should get away because they're black, because I'm not ever going to say that. But it's like this: we want the same energy across the board. Period. We want the same energy across the board. Either you visit mental health in our community, or you prosecute criminals like this, just like you prosecute all the non-pale ones. Or you have this worldview like, that we're just automatically dangerous and these guys automatically deserve a chance. But that's about it. That's about all I got to say on this. And I'm saying that it's just one of those other disappointments that you have to deal with as a black man in seeing, mentally ill or not. If he had a history of this, a history of violence, basically, why is he always allowed to go around people? Why isn't he always under supervision? Why aren't people? What happened? How did the beating get that far? Well, and it was a teaching assistant. It wasn't the teacher. Where was the teacher? Sounds like to me another bad kid thought he could get away with something around somebody. And according to the school, with the students and the staff, they said that this guy, he was a really nice person. He worked there for 10 years. Now, if he had a history of mistreating kids, well, how would he work there for 10 years in an institution like that? But, I understand when our people say that we're getting tired of the mentally ill card being played. We're getting tired of that. You remember the story about a mentally ill black man who was on the ground with his hands up and cops still shot him? Yeah, we only care about some mental illness, huh? This is a goddamn shame. So, but this is just one of those things that that happen in our world. One of those stories that they really try to suppress because they don't like. Because I guess they're fear mongering, talking about, oh, we don't want any unrest. I'm like, no. What you need to do is you need to improve as a system and give everybody the same treatment across the board. Be fair with this shit. Don't severely punish some criminals, and then just let every other criminal slide by. And then we do see a pattern here. So it's like, I'm not a pretender. I'm brutally honest here. Seriously. So, I mean, this is all I got to say about that. I just want to let y'all know that there's still like some turd sniffing going on in this world, and it gets to the point where it just needs to stop. And honestly, like on our side as a people, we need to get it together sometimes. I mean, sometimes discussions are had and we have a tendency to disagree, and then some of those disagreements go too far. Just doing this, showing you this story to make sure that you guys keep that kind of thing in mind when you have your little spats and your little disagreements and your little arguments. That there are kids that are getting away with beating up black men, black people. I mean, there's a lot of those Austin Sheffield types out there. So let's do better. Let's try to do better. All right, this is Kev, and as always, I want you to please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and I will talk to you guys later. Oh, and shout out to Vonda Harris. Yeah, how you doing? Anyway, this is Kev, and I'm out. In Kev, we trust.